Welcome to the FitBiz Accelerator, your ultimate guide to launching, growing, and scaling a thriving online fitness business. I'm your host, Tobias Young, and whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, this podcast is packed with actionable tips, real-world strategies, and the insights you need to crush your business goals and build the business of your dreams. Now that you're here, let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the FitBiz Accelerator. This is the show that helps online fitness coaches launch, grow, and scale a successful business. And today's guest is someone who brings a different but absolutely critical lens to the table when it comes to building not just a business, but a life that's aligned, that's empowered, and that's fully expressed. He's a breakthrough coach. He's a podcast host. He's an author of the book, Relationships Take Two. And you might know him from the YouTube podcast called Rough Sketch to Final Draft, or you might know him through his powerful one-to-one and group coaching programs. With over 54,000 followers, 289,000 monthly views, and a message that's deeply resonating across the globe. Coach Adam, he helps people heal from emotional wounds and break from the patterns that keep them stuck, so that way they can step into their full potential. And today, he's going to share how all of this connects to you, the coach, the entrepreneur, the human being growing a business while also carrying your own story. Let's get into it. Coach Adam, welcome to the show, dude.
Well, thank you so much for that amazing intro. I am so used to being on the other side of this, so I am taken aback, I am humbled, and I am so grateful, and I'm locked in to be here as your guest today. Thank you to your amazing following, and I'm honored to be here, sir.
Absolutely, man. So let me ask you a question, Adam. What originally led you down the path of helping people create emotional breakthroughs? Because that's like a whole different type of coaching setup.
Yeah, it is. Well, and not to just kind of break the ice in any other sense other than let's just jump right into the fire here. I had quite the interesting upbringing. So anyone who's familiar with my work, and I'll kind of fast forward through some of this. I'm an immigrant from France. My father and I came here on our own. I went through quite the tumultuous childhood. I was raped. I was abused. I was left for dead. I was treated horribly by an abusive mother. I had no support in the family. And then my father kind of obviously came in there and rescued me. And we moved away from that whole entire element. Sometimes that's exactly what you have to do to get away from that, to be able to actually experience a change and put yourself into a new, healing, healthy environment. We came here at the ripe young age of about 11 years old, became citizens by the time I was 13. And having gone through that and then working through all that trauma throughout the course of your life, putting that to the screws inside of you, which drove me to go, towards being an attorney, put me through law school. I worked really hard, and you're being hard on yourself. You have to have those breakdowns, to have those breakthroughs, which then obviously allows you to finally be the real you. I knew that I couldn't be the only one. And you start going to Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Simon Sinek's and people like that. You start seeing that everyone is going through this. Name me that one person that isn't going through something. I'll kindly hold my breath. And we're all healing through something. So I was like, okay, I got to get into this because I went through it. And once I've learned how to get people out of the fire, I can obviously keep doing that. And it became a passion of mine. And it's been so for the past, 2.5 years. So it's been a pleasure.
Dude, thank you so much for sharing that too. And I think so many people hide from what really happened to them, in the past, and it's like when you let it out and you finally are able to announce it to the world, I think that's when the true healing begins. It's just when you can kind of acknowledge that it happened. And obviously we can dive into that stuff deeper too. But I just love the fact that you have been through something, traumatic, and that you've grown through that. And now you help other people deal with that same situation in there too. And you do fitness coaching too. Like you kind of put the whole package together, and you're a freaking lawyer. So you can tell people why it's important that you do it, and you can tell them why. Oh, a lot of fitness coaches I work with are incredible at what they do, but they often feel stuck in their business. So from your lens, Adam, like what are some emotional or even subconscious blocks that might be at play here? And how can someone begin to start to identify those?
Absolutely. It's a great point. And it's a good kickoff. The real thing of it is, to anyone who's listening out there, is the real thing of it is you are in a position where you are in leadership. If you are in even leadership in your household as a wonderful father, such as you are, good sir, it matters that we believe in ourselves and that we have self-love. So in that regard, where does that really look like? We hear that a lot, but how do you unpack that? So what that unpackages is, do you have self-sabotage? To an extent, most of us kind of go through that, and we also avoid that. So the first thing that we have to do is at least be able to learn what we don't know, right? Unlearn what we've learned. And then also we don't know what we don't know. So we have to be able to be honest about that process to start to unpack maybe where our vulnerabilities have been hiding from ourselves, because I put that off. I needed to pay the bills. I needed to put food on the table. And I didn't get a chance to get to that mental block that I've had there for a while. Well, that mental block now has to be on the table, unpackage that, and it's going to look like self-doubt, self-sabotage, and that may be stemming from something in your past. And usually, and just to kind of like put this out there, we can kind of dice this up. And this is a really great spot where I'm working on for book number 2, is the fact that literally what you think is real is more like what's real. And what I mean by that is, for anyone who's listening, real spelled REAL. We think reality is real, but it's more like REEL. It's a reel. Maybe 60 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute and 45 seconds long. We make reels for Instagrams. We make reels for YouTube. We see trailers for movies that are 2 minutes long, right? And they titillate us and they excite us. That's how we have that memory printed of that time that we think that we failed. It's just a little bit of a fracture of a future and a past that we never really experienced. And we've literally been holding on to that as, that's who I was in high school. That's who I was as a kid. That's how my mom and dad treated me. And that's how I created this self-doubting perception of myself. And that holds us back. So I would start there.
Yeah, man, that's deep. And what I've grown to realize is that I think some of the deepest coaches who provide some amazing impact, and this isn't to exclude anybody, but the ones that have really gone through some crazy shit are the ones that are like really, really like just gung ho on creating crazy impact, like the Tony Robbins and, and just those guys, like they've gone through some crazy stuff. And, I've dealt with a lot of stuff in my childhood and I'm still kind of dealing with some stuff in there too. But I feel like it drives me to continue to want to help people on a deeper level. Do you feel that same kind of boat?
Amen. I think that those who obviously go through the fire really do become the ones who become the pathfinders to help others navigate through that fire. And it's not that you want to ever, and this is the real point. So I'm going to hard pause and get real in that sense. Is like, you never want to actually let anyone avoid their fire. You want to be able to help navigate them through it, but you never want to rob them of that ability to literally have that fire and overcome that fire. Because if you do, then you rob that drive that we have, that we need as fuel in the fire to keep on our drive. It's just that sometimes if it burns too hot, it burns us out. And if you learn how to put calm over your chaos, and if you learn how to boundary before you burn out, then you'll succeed. And that's really, really key in that sense. So I hope that resonates.
Yeah, no, I mean, how do you think, or how does unresolved emotional pain, how does that show up in business from your perspective?
That comes into lots of things. It'll be procrastination, first off, right? Just to kind of obviously immediately relatability, as everyone's like, yep, that's it. You've learned to somehow put things off, right? Well, I put things off in my emotional world, but I won't do that it won't show up for me like that in my professional world. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Like it will show up. How you are in one aspect of your life is going to really reflect on how you are in the majority of your life. Is there obviously nuance there? At the same time, we have to be realistic with ourselves that if we have an overflex muscle like we do in the gym, that I'm really good at arms, but my legs need some work, right? That's another relatability for most of us out there in the world. If you have really strong biceps, but you don't do your triceps, well, then you have an overworked bicep and you have an underworked tricep. So if you have an overworked, I avoid things, I put things off in your world, that same muscle flex is going to show up in how you do your business. And then I won't get to the accounting. And I put off calling that customer back who was upset. So it lags for 30 days and turns into a complaint, which escalates. It starts showing up that way. So when we think that something is minute, normally that's just a seed, and seeds can turn into redwoods really quickly. So we have to deal with those at the fundamental level. Otherwise they can get out of control.
Yeah, very good point in there too. And, a lot of online coaches, they actually tie their self-worth to their business revenue.
Mm.
And what's your perspective on detaching your identity from the numbers and then focusing on more like aligned?
I love that. Yes. And it's absolutely true. In the sense, we just made a post about this. So if you guys check out the Instagram, go take a look. But sometimes, and it was a visual that I put out there. So as someone who's listening, and if someone who's watching, you can kind of see it more when your hand is there. But it's got a picture of a guy holding onto a rope and it's just burning up his hand. It's bleeding and it starts to open up and open up. And the caption reads is that sometimes holding on is actually what's holding you back, right? So in that sense of holding on to this identity that My revenue is who I am. My reputation is who I am. That's a little bit more realistic. That's a little bit more holistic in that sense. But my money flow of who I am, that if I don't hit my, $10,000 commission check every single month at the end of the 30 days, failure is what I have to define myself as. That comes from an unresolved trauma of needing to be loved for the validation that maybe you didn't receive from a father figure, from a mother figure, and something that we literally just didn't give to ourselves. In that sense, some failure, when you went for this speech, contest when you were a kid, you shot the goal in hockey, but it missed. You kicked the goal in soccer, but it hit the pole and dinged off. There's a memory peg. Like I said, it circles back to what's the real that we're playing inside of our mind, that we think that we're still this failure. And I have to continually keep beating this over the head again and again and again. And for anyone who's going through that right now, because I've been in that position myself, understand this and give yourself a break. If what happened to you is real, we want to validate that, right? So Tobias and I were holding space for you in that sense. It really did happen. It happened 10 years ago. It happened one time. And now that has shown up 200 times in the past 10 years of your life. Is that really now worth it? That literally it happened one time 10 years ago and it hurt. Now, 200 times later that it's happened to other innocent people in your life, you've slighted them, you've overcome them, maybe you cut them off in life or you cut them off in traffic. Does that balance out? And you really got to start making an ethical, logistical kind of parameter basis with yourself internally and your internal compass. So again, these are all just the fundamentals, and there's so much that we could deep dive, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know some people that get damaged, from some type of, maybe it was a relationship 10 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever it was. And then they literally self-sabotage themselves every single relationship that they go into, or, they treat other people bad, just like protecting their feelings because they don't want to get hurt themselves. So they treat everybody else like crap or whatever it is. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. This is good. But in your book, Relationships Take Two, you dive into healing like I should say relational patterns, right? So how do these patterns spill over into things like client relationships, team leadership, or maybe even sales?
It's a good question. And how it syncs up is, I would say, in 3 different layers. And the book is structured that way. So I kind of made sure that it would relate to everyone in a certain way. So for anyone who is looking at it from an entrepreneurial business aspect of things, skip to section 2. It's in 3 parts: part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 2 is going to be about that relationship to other. First part is about relationship to self. Second part is about relationship to other. And then third part is relationship to community. So you'll want to start at section 2 if you want to get right into it and read the first couple, pages and be like, I relate. You can go back and skip to chapter 1 again later on. And then obviously number 3 is going to relate specifically to this question, in the fact of like, how does it show up in that regard? Well, again, we have avoidant attachment styles. We have anxious attachment styles in relationships. And if you end up relating that to how you work your business and how you end up going after customers and how you relate to that type of dynamic, because it's all intertwined, you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. It's going to be a way in which, how do you avoid the people that you should be going after as prospects? Are you anxiously attached to some of your bigger clients, which is now not allowing you to get that lead flow that you wanted out of them? You originally approached them with all that gust and, oh my God, and I got them, and you landed it. On that day, you shipped the champagne and everything was happy. But then you have a anxious attachment style to that client, and the client doesn't want to deal with you. They don't send you as many leads because they're feeling the pressure from you, which is a way in which relationship dynamics have to be nurtured. They have to be taken care of, right? So how you nurture that white glove account lead is going to be different than how you go prospecting against your leads. So all of these types of internal personal relationship types of dynamics end up playing a huge role in our professional life. And for some reason, though, I guess maybe the education system here in the United States is that we're so divorced from the idea that everything is commingled and intermingled with one another. We think that science is science, math is math, English is English, but you can't do science without knowing English and doing the mathematics to do the science. So they all relate, but we're taught that they're separate. So in that sense, I would, go to section 2, then go to section 3, and don't forget section 1. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out the book too. And we'll give them a little teaser later.
Sure.
And you talk about moving from rough draft to final draft, right? Or rough sketch, I should say. Can you walk us through what the transformation looks like, especially for somebody who's currently burnt out, they're unmotivated, or they're maybe questioning their next move with their business?
Absolutely. And absolutely. I think it's important for the fact of understanding that if you're in a rough sketch kind of phase in your life and you're looking for leadership and you're looking for mentorship, I'm also going to obviously say that, yes, go to Tobias. He's incredible. His mentorship and just who he is incredible as a role model. You're going to want to make sure that you are ready to really dive into who you think that you are, because that's one of the biggest rough sketch questions to actually understand. If we sat down in, a boat tomorrow, I don't know if you know how to, but I certainly don't. If we had a yacht and we rented one, I don't know how to control it. So immediately when sitting down in front of the controls, you will now know what you don't know. I know that we've all seen in the movie, you hit one of the handles and it goes forward. But other than that, I don't know what all the rest of the gadgets and the widgets and all the other doodads do. One of the humbling aspects about being in the rough stage, in the rough draft of our lives, is that we actually have to understand that it's rough. And we have to be okay with that. Why? Because we seek perfectionism. Right. And I know that that's going to ruminate with a lot of souls, because as entrepreneurs, as success driven individuals who want to crush it, who want to change our lives because we have this past, again, we have this past that we're trying to prove isn't who we are. We really are asking that question, who am I? And in that process of the rust sketch, we have to accept that right now it's not perfect, and progress forward is going to be better than just seeking that perfection. I know we hear it and it's not easy. And I don't mean to make light of it by just saying it, because I'm not just saying it. I've done it. But at the same time, that really has to be the point of where the ground hits the rubber and you finally actually are ready to do that. Then from there, you can actually start unpeeling the layers of who you thought you were, the aspects of your personality that you know no longer fit for you, which they never did, but you thought that was so much you. I'm an X-Men fan. I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Raiders fan. I'm a DC fan. I'm a left wing. I'm a right wing. Whatever your ideologies are, you've really got to come to terms with those things and then start really making sense out of whether or not it's going to serve you in the long run, especially for financial gain in that regard as you're growing your business. It doesn't matter whether or not companies out there know that you're a Giants fan. If it does, just be honest with yourself and say, okay, I think that my market will care about whether or not I identify that. And then from there, you start going through the transformational process. And all of those steps that I just explained are parts of the transformation process. None of that is easy. It's easy cerebrally right now to be able to speak this in a pathos way, but to really go through the logos and the ethos of that process is going to be much more meticulous, step by step. And again, we can't ever do it for you, but we can certainly, as guides and as coaches, we don't know everything, but we can lead you through the fire. And that's what we're always hoping to inspire and aspire to do for you.
Yeah, I know. I work with so many coaches, and there's so many of them that just follow the path, they take action, and there's other ones that kind of sit on the sidelines. You just want to grab them up and just take them in there, but they have to, they have to want it, right? So, but what's an internal shift or a belief reframe, Adam, that you've seen make the biggest difference or biggest impact for coaches or entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Well, now you're speaking my language. This is NLP 101 right now. We're talking about shifting and reframing. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. You could talk about it all day. Another podcast. But in that sense, when you reframe somebody, when you actually get a chance to really kind of see where they're at, it's a perception shift. Most of the time, again, you think in a certain pattern, because of course we are pattern-based creatures. Behaviors are set upon those. And as we grow and flow, we end up kind of stepping into some of the ones that become a rut, and those are the ones that can be changed. Now, as a coach and someone who's been licensed in that regard too, and working as a consultant for so many years in the legal field, analytically wise, you have to be able to analyze where you're at, right? So like as a Sherlock Holmes, you have to divulge the case and see where your actual client is at to be able to help them get to their next spot. And to reframe that is to obviously see where the areas of growth are, right? Most of the time, they even say that that's one of their failures or one of their weaknesses. That's even a reframe right there from the get-go. It's an area of growth that you need to work on. That's it. You don't say it's a failure or you don't say it's a weakness. It's an area for growth. That shifts the consciousness to start spinning in a new way, because what you think ends up becoming your reality in that regard. If anyone's familiar with The Secret and so many other great things, we can go on that for days, but it changes the perception of how you see you. And as soon as you start perceiving yourself in a different way by reframing some of the ways in which your speech patterns have adopted a behavior that gets you into the trouble that you've been getting yourself into, if you can alter that and make a new pattern that is going to be more beneficial, more healing, and more, I'd say, constructive for yourself and for those around you, then you're going to start shifting that person's life, because other people now are shifting towards their energy that has now started to, Tobias, you look different. You sound great, and all of a sudden people want to resonate with you because they feel your energy shifting and they want that shift too. So again, we can talk about this forever because it's such a good thing. And I think that everyone is looking for that type of growth, right? So again, this is all something that comes to us in the 21st century, in 2025. I don't know any of us that don't want to get better somehow.
Yeah, and I love if those of you who haven't seen or read the book The Secret or The Law of Attraction or know anything about that, like check it out. It's one of those things in there too. So if you start reframing, who you are as a person, like what your mind thinks, you start attracting those things into your life. It's crazy, but it works. It's like a magnet that comes in there.
It does.
So let's flip it for a second, Adam. So what are some practical ways that coaches can actually help their own clients break through emotional resistance, especially when they're struggling with like consistency or motivation?
Ooh, okay. So how can the coaches actually help out their clients?
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because you end up asking for permission. I'm going to start with that first off, not just as a legal person, but at the same time, ask for the permission. You either ask for permission or ask for forgiveness. Ask for the permission. And there are, NLP track type of phrases to be able to ask for that permission without actually just saying, hey, can I have your permission? It comes out in so much more of a genuine, authentic way whenever you're kind of communicating with someone in just a laissez-faire kind of phraseology. You can come across on the fact of, hey, would it be all right if I, took the reins here for just a minute and got a chance to maybe show you something that maybe I thought it was interesting, but maybe show you of interest. That's an example of how to ask for permission without actually having to literally use the word, can I ask for permission? Then when you do, and you build that trust, make sure you build that rapport. I can't say this enough. This is very, very important for any coach that's going to listen. I hope you do. No one cares. Say this very slowly. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And once you've established that you care more about their dreams and their success because you've asked really great probing questions, you've gotten into their business, you've gotten into their personal lives, and you actually have unmasked their real dreams and their drives of why they even want to be a success. Most of the time, it's like, I wanted to buy a house for my mother because she was so kind to me when I was a child. I wanted to buy a car for my dad because he bought my first one and we barely had any money. There's usually just reasons inside of our hearts and souls on why we're really driven. And if you unpackage those types of things, the client will not just be asking for your guidance, but they'll want it from you, and they'll start passing you along as almost a role model, mentor, doing much more the type of work that you and I are engaged in on a regular basis, helping with their mindset. Because if you can help a client with a mindset, you're going to obviously have access to their checkbook in an honest, authentic way with no issues.
Yeah, and that increases the lifetime value of your clients, right? Because when they know that you care and you're providing not just a nutrition plan and workouts, but actually like the things that they need to succeed in life in general, but also in the habits and everything in there too. And you're like so deep with them. Like what I found is that clients join because they need a result and they think, okay, you're going to be the one that will help them with that, but they'll stay because they feel a community and a sense of purpose with you. And they start to, really feel that bond in there too. So
They believe in
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And for the coaches listening right now who are high performers, but they feel like they're still operating from a sense of proving or maybe not enough, what advice would you give them to release that pressure off themselves?
Yeah, it's a hot mic moment. I apologize. I really do for all of you who are listening too. It's going to be this simple. It's not going to go the way you thought it was. Drop the mic. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go and give yourself grace. It's not going to go the way you ever designed it to be. Even on your perfect of perfect days in the best scenario ever in the entire world, it's not going to go the way that you thought it was going to be to the second by second by second by second. Most of the time when we have a really great day, if any one of you reflects back on this, if I do, if you do, Tobias, the day was pretty good. It's usually like, even if we say it's the best day, if you really go back and go by play, it was like 70% pretty good. And there were some traffic jams and there were some heated arguments or something you overheard. There was some other stuff. It's okay. Let it go. Perfection is holding you back from progressing, and it's suppressing where you can go. Now that I'm doing NLP right now, forgive me, but at the same, I'm doing, as you listen to that, it's going to help change your mindset. So you drop down into the baritone and you allow the individual, because I'm also certified in hypnosis. So like allow it to literally sink in. The message is there. Stop suppressing by thinking that you have to do it perfectly. Just do the progression and stop the suppression, and you'll move forward in life.
Yeah, because I actually did a coaching call today with my coaches, and I have at least one coach that's just scared to death to get on video and produce reels or do anything like that. And I'm like, you just have to start putting, you just have to do your first one, right? And I give them frameworks and things to make it easy for them. But I was like, I want you to think about Kobe Bryant for a second, right? So Kobe Bryant used to suck at basketball. I think one of his years, he didn't even make his team, right? But he just kept at it and he kept practicing and he had a sick, insane work ethic and he kept doing the things over and over again to make him better. So you might suck in the beginning at something. Let's just say putting out your video content, whatever it is. But you have to suck before you get average.
I was there.
Right? And then you have to average before you even get kind of good. And then you have to be kind of good before you get good, before you get great, before you get excellent, before you're crushing it. So like you see the after, the Michael Jordan, like all the people that are just like killing their sport, but you're not seeing the freaking all the back end work where they sucked and they had to just keep working at it to get better. And it's the same thing for you in your coaching business. You might have to suck in the beginning, but that's temporary. If you know it's going to take you 100 videos before you start to get good, bust out those 100 videos and get freaking good. Don't space it out where it takes you 10 years. Like, hey, let it take you, a few months to be able to get to that point. So just embrace the suck, embrace the grind, and believe in yourself, and just know that your ultimate purpose is going to be to serve other people and to be able to help them. And you can't do that if you're stuck and not able to, put out any content or whatever it is. Amen. So where should a coach start if they want to do this type of deeper work? And then what are some simple daily or maybe weekly practices that can support personal growth and more like emotional clarity?
Ooh, wow. Okay. Where you would want to get started. I would definitely say like recommending some books and so on and so forth to kind of dive into it there. Yeah. I would start with Simon Sinek. If anything ever happens in my entire life, I would love to shake his hand. As much of a physical role model that you are to me and have been a hero and inspiration to me in my life and journey, Simon Sinek and Tony Robbins are that on that side. Simon Sinek Start With Why is absolutely phenomenal. It's an absolute just game changer. It reframes who you are inside your own headspace, and it's a great place to go to. It's an easy enough read. I think it's roughly maybe 205 pages tops, and it's pretty big font, so you can get through it pretty quick. And it really does make a big difference. You can find a lot of his TED Talks immediately as I'm kind of like, this is not sponsored by him. Simon, I love you, buddy, in that sense. But you can find his TED Talks online, and they're moving and inspirational there. I think it's one of the ones that has like 36 million something odd views or whatever. It's incredible. And I definitely would say that if you understand and you start to actually really uncover your why, that'll start throwing you onto a path of a whole bunch of other kind of stuff. Now, I know a lot of individuals out there do kind of shy away from, or they have mixed feelings of, or they promote it wholly, is like Stoicism and Greek philosophy with Socrates and Aristotle. I can't support it enough. I'm a huge proponent of that. I think anyone with a heart and soul for success has to read, Meditations with Marcus Aurelius. It's going to radically change your whole entire view on what maybe Roman senators and the pharaohs and the czars of old and the Caesars were in that sense. Absolutely incredible. Humble human being. I'm glad that human even existed on this planet. So that was incredible to read. And I have like 3 different copies because I've burned through it since college. So I would highly recommend those. And then something akin to this, and I think that it's where most people kind of divert from, is more the philosophical route. I'll leave it on this one, but it's important to understand the actual understanding of Plato's cave. If you don't understand Plato's cave, I think that as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and as a leader, as a man, as a father, it has to be in there in your mix of your toolkit. It has to be in there of understanding that we live in darkness and don't understand what's around us, but we have images that are projected on the inside of the cave of the wall, and that you actually grow in enlightenment to understand that it's built as a system in the first place to keep you there. And then you can understand that the system is a system. And then how do you fit into the system? And if you can figure that out, you are a good father, like you are a good businessman, you are a good role model, you are a good mentor, you're a good friend. So those are at least the 3 that I can give to you right now, because obviously in the auspices of the respect to the show, I would say start there, and your journey will start to unfold before you right there.
I love it. I love it. And I love all that stuff too. So if you don't have Apple CarPlay, get yourself Apple CarPlay, put some Audible books in there, start to jam, listen to all the ones that Coach Adam was talking about. So Coach Adam, dude, thank you, man. That was incredibly powerful. And thank you for bringing just such deep insight and practical, wisdom to the show today. So if you're a coach that's listening right now, and you've ever felt like mindset, emotion, like your emotional energy, your emotional patterns, they've been holding you back. I hope that this episode gave you some clarity and some direction on how to move forward. Coach Adam, where's the best place for people to connect with you, get your book, or explore more about your coaching programs.
Man, I never get a chance to say this part. This is always a wonderful part that I ask. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you again for letting me be on the show. You're such an amazing host. You're such an amazing role model and mentor. I can't say it enough. I'll never stop. I love you. If you want to find me, Coach Adam is where I'm on Instagram. It's Coach Adam _Adam, because there's a few out there, though this is the only one, I guess, that you'll find if you look for me. Then Rough Sketch of Final Draft is on YouTube, which is the podcast. It's also on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio now, which is exciting. Thank you so much, fam, for following us on there. And then if you want the book, it's Relationships Take Two. I thought that maybe that was going to come up, so there it is. If you can see it, if you're listening, it's Relationships Take Two, and it's on Amazon. Easy to find.
Yeah. Yeah. So get both our books. Get that and get the Online Success Blueprint. They can get both, and you can jam with me and Adam together at the same time. And to everybody tuning in, remember, your business can only grow to the extent that you grow. So take care of your mindset, take care of your healing, take care of your vision, and then you can watch everything else expand. And if you got value from today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share this with another coach who needs to hear it, and I'll see you next time on the Online Accelerator. Thanks for tuning in to the FitBiz Accelerator. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a tip or strategy to grow your online fitness business. And if you're ready to fast track your success, don't forget to check out tntfitprocoaching.com. Until next time, stay consistent, stay focused, and keep crushing it.